Well, hello and welcome to the next episode, this fantastic episode of Faces of NextGen Live. I'm Eric Wells, Legacy Left Right. I am the education coordinator for the NextGen genealogy community. And for this show, what we do is we talk to fellow genealogists, whether or not they're related to NextGen, but just some awesome people anyways. And today I am very, very pleased to get to talk to SirLeprechaunRabbit himself, Kalé Hobbes. How you doing, Kalé?
I'm not too bad, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So we had a little bit of tech difficulties, as computers are just a wonderful thing.
Oh, I just wasted 2 years of my life. I felt like it. Anyhow, you got me. What are we doing?
All right, you ready to go?
Sure.
Okay, all right, cool. So one of the first questions I ask, since this is NextGen, we talk about younger genealogists and such. What is your age? You don't have to give me the exact
Over
age.
21.
You're 21. You look
21.
no
Over
more
21.
than 22.
Oh, you're being kind and blind. No, I've been over 21 for a while, a few times. I don't count very well. I can multiply, but don't count.
Because that's what rabbits do. That's what you mean.
Of course.
So you know,
my grandchildren almost outnumber my children. So and they've only been at it for a couple of years. So anyhow.
So you're well known in the Twitterverse and beyond as SirLeprechaunRabbit, and you have a post about how you got that name. But you want to tell us how you got SirLeprechaun?
It's a bit of an accident. When my wife, my lady, and I we met online. She found my poetry site, and we got to talking and writing and so on. I always called her my lady, and it was also because of the website she had. And she said that I was a prince because I was like a gentleman, and leprechaun because I was Irish. So it was technically Leprechaun Prince. Jump ahead about 6-7 years, so about 2006, 7-ish. Social media came out, and I got playing with it, and Twitter came around, and I thought, oh, that looks like fun. So I started tinkering around, and I needed a name. So Leprechaun Prince was taken. Prince Leprechaun was taken. Irish Prince. Basically, all the names were taken. And just before I got into that, there was a website called the Association of Graveyard Rabbits.
Graveyard Rabbits?
Graveyard Rabbits. If you Google it, you'll find it. It's based on a poem. I forget the gentleman who did it. Anyhow, Footnote Maven is part of that. Dear Myrtle was part of that at some time. Sherry Finley was part of it. There's hundreds of bigger names than me. And my wife got into that because she thought it was interesting by reading up on it. She said, well, put rabbit in there somewhere. So I went Leprechaun Rabbit, and poof, and I went, oh, gosh, this is embarrassing. It's ludicrous. I can't keep that name. So I just thought I'd horse around with it. And then, about 4.5 years ago, GenChat came out. And I tagged in with them. And Jen Baldwin, she tolerates me. I'm surprised she hasn't told me where to go. She's a doll. We've never met. We've talked, we've exchanged email, and we've sent Christmas cards and so on. But it played off from there. At the end of the first year, she said, "Sir, you've been, I was helpful and so on and so forth." And I don't know where my mind was. I think I got into too much Christmas cheer, and I started tweeting away, and I says, "Here, lad, everyone, I'm now a sir," and it stuck. It stuck. So it's been Sir Leprechaun Rabbit for 3.5 years now. But the rabbit has been around. Leprechaun Rabbit has been around for about 7.
Now you mentioned GenChat in there, and for those of you, people who don't know what GenChat is, you want to explain a little bit about what it is?
GenChat is a gathering of people, professional, weekend warriors, whatever hobbyists and so on. Every other Friday, they actually meet 2 days from now, and where
do they meet?
They meet on on Twitter. You can go into TweetDeck. You can go into what's it called? Tweet Chat. There's a whole bunch of browsers you can use, or you can just go into your Twitter feed and go in and put in under search, put in hashtag Gen GENCHAT, and it will call up all the posts under that call. And Jen Baldwin answers to Ancestry Journey, one word, all small case, and she puts forth the questions and you answer it through, and it is the quickest, fastest, friendliest hour of genealogy on Twitter.
Yeah.
And everybody that comes in, they go, oh my gosh, this is fast. I says, you should see it when we got over 300 people attending. It's wicked. It's wicked in a good way. We've had, oh my goodness, the people. Dear Myrtle has joined us. Randy Seaver has made appearances. D. Joshua Taylor, Mary Tedesco, the legal genealogist, the Colonel, Judy Russell. She's been there. The people come, they come and go. You don't know one night to the next who's coming. But that's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. Sometimes if the topic is a bit dry and everyone hasn't settled down, I'll chip in and I'll throw in some little throwaway remark and get everybody carrying on with that. Well, I don't know how long it was when we first started. Someone came up with this statement, oh, it's like Cheers. Everyone knows who you are, but we need a bartender. And I volunteered. And I've been throwing in the quips and that. And it just carries on from there. There's times when Jen can't make it. And she tells me, oh, you take charge. I says, you really want me to do that? And I'll put out a question and the answer, and we can be talking about what was it? I'll say Empire Loyalists, for the lack of another topic. We can start on that, and about 2-3 questions in, we're off on a tangent somewhere. You know, people worry about rabbit holes. No, never mind that. You know, put a rabbit in charge and watch what happens. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It gets a little squirrely, but it's fun.
Now, when did you first start researching getting into genealogy?
Oh, we have to go there, do we? I was in grade 3. Madame Gallant, grade 3. I was 8, not quite 9.
And this was in California, I assume.
No. This is in Ontario.
Ontario, okay.
Ontario, yeah. Not too in the shadow of Toronto. Wentworth County is where I was raised. The heart of rabbit country, as my family calls it. Madame Gallant had given us an assignment. She wanted us to trace our family tree. Me, I wasn't familiar with it, and the word for me was not family tree; it was trace. Trace meant to draw.
Oh, okay.
And I can't draw a happy face if my life depended on it. You know, I'm not that inclined. So here I am. I'm all worried, and I'm walking home, and I walk into the backyard, and there's my answer. I'm going to get an A+. I run to the shed, pull out a spade, and I start digging up what I thought was the family tree in the middle of my mum's garden. Mum's in the house with Gran, my dad's mother, who, if anyone reads my blogs,
you dug a tree up?
Attempted to. My dad's mom is who I call Grandma Rabbit. Okay, the long, prolific French family history. That's where the rabbit came from. So I started to dig, and I didn't dig very much. I dug a hole big enough to lose one of my shoe, and I had blisters on my hands, and I'm like, oh, this isn't working out well. This is I might have to find another. Maybe I'll take a picture of it or something. And by this time, my mom comes out, and she's telling me, no, you can't do that. And we got into an argument. And needless to say, I said some nasty things 8-year-olds usually say to their parents about not loving them and so on and so forth. And I'm going to fail grade 3 because you won't let me take this stupid tree to school. And I ran off. And I ran off to the playground, and I went and hid behind the maintenance shed. And I wasn't hiding there very long because Grandma Rabbit found me, Emily. And she sat down and she cracked open this Bible. And the pages were yellow, and it looked like if you touch them, they'd break. And I looked at her, and, well, what's that, Grandma? And she says, that's your family tree. And of course, I'm looking at it upside down because I'm standing in front of her, right? And it's sitting in her lap. And I'm looking at it, and I went, that's not much. What's it say? And she starts telling me this, And I'm like, there must have been at least 3-4 different handwritings in it. So it had been handed down.
Wow.
Yeah, when I stopped to think about it. But to an 8-year-old, that's pretty sloppy. How can you reread that? And she goes, well, it's French. I said, well, that doesn't help me. I didn't know French. I didn't learn French until I was in my 20s. And by then it was all what the military taught me. So that was my family tree. So needless to say, when I went to school, real non-supporter, if I can word it that way. She wouldn't let me take the Bible to school for fear I would lose it. Because the 4 handwritings has got to be at least 4 generations in that book, right? So she says, you can't take that book. So I'm trying to copy what I can't read. Long story short, failed that assignment. I was devastated because I was a straight A student at the time. I learned to live with it. That summer, Graham took me on a family picnic. I got to meet my ancestors. We went to the cemeteries.
Oh, neat.
Around the bay. The Hamilton Cemetery across the street of Dundon Castle on York Boulevard. I think it's York Boulevard in Hamilton. Excuse me. Then there was Woodland and Holy Sepulchre, the Roman Catholic one in Burlington, and there was 3-4 generations in all of those cemeteries. Of her side, my grandfather, an uncle that died young, her parents, her grands, her in-laws. It was wild. The stones all over the place. The earliest ones I saw were from mid-1800s.
Wow.
Mid-1800s. Some weren't English. Surprisingly, you could tell how well the family was socially from the type of stone and the condition of it. And as it got older, just like we age, we don't look too good. The stones do the same. And weather, poor maintenance, vandalism, and time, the stones wear it, and sometimes they don't survive, which a lot of people find very odd. But there were thousands of stones I saw when I was that small. So I've kind of been more to graveyards than I was into genealogy. That came a little bit later. But when I took all the information from those stones, that was the heart of my genealogy work.
Yeah. So you got started really young, and with the aid of your grandmother.
Yes. No, carry on.
Now, over the years, you've researched your family tree, and it's grown much more, I assume, from the family Bible that you were shown.
Yes.
Who would be the ancestor you'd most want to meet?
Oh, that's one question I usually ask my friends, and that's not one I really thought of myself. it would be one of two persons.
Mm-hmm.
It would be from the first family that came over from England on my mother's side, her paternal line. I would like to say it would be my. I have to think now. Mum, Jim, Thomas, John, Jim, Grand, 1, 2, 3, fourth great grandmother. Her name was Elizabeth Hodgson.
Hudson, like the river? Hodgson, okay.
Hodgson. She married John Atkinson. They were wed in July 1800 in West. It's a mouthful.
What makes her interesting?
There's another K in there. When Elizabeth came over in 1833 with her husband, they brought 3 children with them.
Uh-huh.
Their married, pregnant daughter, Mary, their son-in-law, her husband, Thomas, and they had 6 little ones. And she was pregnant with, and their daughter was pregnant with number 7.
Wow.
And 2 bachelor sons.
Jeez.
Now, this is February 1833.
Uh-huh.
And they are traveling from the Waterloo docks in Liverpool to New York City. And they're stopping off in New York City to Ontario, which we now know is Toronto. They were responsible for their provisions, their food, everything. The ship was only giving them transportation. That's all. Nothing else.
So they had to pack their own meals from Liverpool to Toronto.
Yes. To at least New York.
To New York, yeah.
To New York, because once they got to New York, they could always stop in a lodging or something and
holy moly!
That way.
That was
so
a trip, wasn't it?
Yes. So
in the 1830s, it was sailing.
So 5 adults and 6 little ones.
Gosh.
And well, you can take it from the point. You're there with your wife, your 2 boys, your daughter, your son-in-law, and your 6 grandchildren, and your daughter's pregnant. Now, I've got the hypothesis that they didn't have enough food because 2 of the children died before they got to New York.
Oh my!
Actually, 3 of them died before they got to New York. She didn't have the baby until a couple of months after they arrived in Toronto. They arrived in Toronto in March, and she had the child in April, I think it was. Anyhow, they lost 3 of the infants. The youngest one for certain, so number 6, and I'm guessing 1 and 2, because the women are responsible for the food. Basically, back then, that's what the women do. It was just the way society was. The women would eventually have to tell the men what's going on. We're going to run out before we get to New York.
Yeah.
And what do adults usually do? Like any other mother, the mother eats last, so she makes sure 1, the men eat, and 2, the babies eat. So going by also my medical. Elizabeth would refuse to eat to make sure Mary does. Mary is, of course, the pregnant daughter. Thomas and John, her husband and her father, would agree. They would also do the same. Her 2 bachelor brothers would, you have to eat and you have to feed the children. Now, how long this went on, I don't know. But it's over the years, a lot of people realize children are intelligent. Even up to the preschool.
Right.
They mimic what they see. Okay, babies do that, but as the kids get older, the wheels start turning. Like, why isn't Daddy eating? Why is Mommy not eating? Okay, oh, Grandma's not eating either.
Yeah.
And they'll start asking questions. And of course, the younger children, as the food's running out, the portions are getting smaller. The little ones are crying. They're still hungry. as an adult, it's going to break your heart because you can't feed them anymore.
Yeah.
I've fought with this idea for a couple of years, but I believe the oldest two children started giving their portions to the smaller ones because mommy and daddy weren't eating. Grandma and grandpa, uncle and Uncle Tom are not eating either. So something's wrong. And if they ask, you're not going to tell your kid the truth. You know, I think the oldest child was 6 or 7.
Oh, wow.
I don't have my research in front of me. And the next one was 2 years younger than that. Very young, but kids are smart. We don't, even to this day, we don't give them credit. But I strongly believe that's what happened. Sometime before they arrived in New York, the youngest one passed away. So the men would be trying to console Mary, pregnant mom, and their grandmother, because women are, protective of the little ones. The men are too, but the men are trying to console them. And by doing that, now this is my theory, by they would not have picked up that the oldest two have not been eating. Because they've been giving the food to the younger kids. And then when they lost the older two, they wouldn't have been able to pick up on that. Wouldn't have picked up on it until it was too late. But so with that information, for your question, the one I would like to talk to would be Mary.
Right.
Out of everyone. So she would be my 4 times great aunt. And the question I would give her would be, why did you leave England? What was it that was so promising in the New World?
Yeah.
That, now, of course, it's hindsight. It would have to be, I'd have to be able to ask her that she has the knowledge of what happened. If I'm asking her before then, it's not going to work. But it had to be extremely difficult hardship back in England for them to journey onto a ship with inadequate provisions, and take off.
And
at least that's how I see it.
They paid a really high price for whatever the reason was for leaving.
Yes.
And it sounds almost like they weren't wealthy to even afford the amount of provisions they needed if they ran out of food.
Yeah.
It just and just some really powerful and a strong woman to carry on after after her loss.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Harder still is 2 weeks after they arrived in I'm going to call it Toronto because everybody knows it as Toronto. 2 weeks after they arrived, their youngest son, now John and Elizabeth's son, Mary's brother, her youngest brother Robert died of cholera.
Oh, jeez.
So it's just rubbing it in.
Yeah.
Back in that time frame, I did the research. Back in that time frame in sailing ships, in the early to mid 1830s, approximately 20% of all the immigrants that world were dying from cholera, either just before they 20%.
Oh wow!
Between 18 and 20% were their lives were taken by cholera.
Like 1 out of 5.
Yeah. And this family lost 3 little ones and a son. So that's it. This was a family I was researching in 1986. So almost 100 years, over 150 years from the time it happened.
150 years, yeah.
And I was in my late teens, early 20s when I was looking into that. And if you do the math, you got an idea how old I am.
Not all of us are bad in math.
No, of course not. Just rabbits. But I was researching it then, and it was the numbers were just staggering, and everything else that was going on. And York was not, Toronto at that time was called Muddy York because they were having torrential downpours and rain. So the farmers were not doing well. There's no such thing as farmers insurance, crop insurance.
Yeah.
So if you lost your crops, you lost everything.
Ugh.
So it's like they went out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Yeah.
So
bad timing. Both just it sounded like just bad timing, but somehow persisted, and your evidence of their persistence. Now, what was one of your most interesting and surprising discoveries during your research?
I haven't been able to find a loyalist ancestor, but I thought I found a patriot until I found out who it was. And yeah, don't be mean. Benedict Arnold.
Well, you're related to Benedict Arnold? They named eggplate after your ancestor.
Yeah, I heard that one.
Eggs Benedict.
Are they any good? Because I haven't tried them.
Yeah, they're not too bad. It depends on the sauce. That if the sauce is made well.
Very true. Very true.
So that was kind of surprising for you when you discovered you were related to Benedict. Well, I guess someone's got to be related to Benedict Arnold.
Okay, well, someone has to try and fix everything that he it'll take. I strongly believe, and this was long before that Turn Washington spy program came out. The Empire Loyalists write about him as well, because when Arnold was with George, he was raiding and burning properties to colonists that eventually came to Canada and claimed to be loyalists to the crown, loyal to the crown. So when they put forth their petition to be reimbursed financially or with land or whatever, they would state that Arnold did this and Arnold did this and this and this and this and so on and so on. And they'd investigate it, and some of them would say, yeah, we found it, or no, we haven't found it. When Arnold switched sides and he started to work for the crown, he went to these orders in council, the loyalist councils, and he said, yes, my previous employment, I did this and this and this and this, and I damaged that, and I burned this, and so on and so forth. And basically, he gave testimony to prove the original petition people were indeed lost because of his endeavors. So those people were granted compensation, and they were deemed loyalists. But Arnold was not. For everything, even after he switched sides and he started doing things for George, he was not deemed a loyalist. He was expunged. And yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what in God's earth that means. I've written to the United Empire Loyalist Association, headquartered in Toronto, and their website says such. And I told them, I says, just exactly what does that mean? I'm still waiting for an answer. Basically, he's and it's really odd. It's really odd. From that war, there's only one massive, decisive participant, Arnold. He's not a patriot, and he's not a loyalist. So what is he? A pariah, basically. But he participated.
He's an enigma.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so, but yeah.
Yeah.
That was the most interesting discovery I made. Aside from this, of course. Why on earth you wanted to put up with me for this? I have no idea.
I'm having a great time. We've got some people in the chat room that are saying that you're looking fantastic, and the Gen chat absolutely loves you.
Oh, I paid them off. That doesn't count.
Yeah, there's also somebody that says you owe me $5. No, that's not, doesn't say that. And then Discovering Your Past says, my wife guessed that it was a Liverpool accent.
This one that I got, it's nerves. I stutter more when there's more people in the room. Also, when I'm nervous, it gets bad. Truth be told, long-time members of the Alberta Genealogical Society can attest that I'm better to write than I am to speak. I was president for 2 years, and I had to attempt to be interesting for the AGM.
Yeah, you're doing a fantastic job.
General meeting, and oh yeah, I was lucky I could get two words out. It was terrible, and especially some of my American friends I've met. And says, "Oh, you've got to go to a conference. You've got to talk. You got to this. You got to that." And I said, "No, I gotta not." And I'll sit back and cheer you on. And and anyone in their right mind would let me stay in the back row, shake pom poms and go. But supportive, no problem. Help behind the scenes, no problem. Hold up a quilt top so you can show it off to everyone that you're talking to, no problem again. But don't put me in front of it. No.
Got it. Good to know. So when you do your research, where do you like to do your research? What's your favorite place?
When I was heavily into it, any quiet corner in the public library with an outlet.
Yeah.
An electrical outlet, and I was in my glory.
There's something awesome about just leaving the house and going to a library and taking a few hours and doing some research. That's one of my favorite things to do. Yes. It really is. Yeah. And a couple of other people I've talked to say the exact same thing. They have some, like Shannon, I interviewed Shannon a few weeks ago, and she loves going to the Library of Virginia. And
when I was young, I would go to the Hamilton Public Library. It's now, the new place is 5 stories full of glass, overlooking the downtown. That's the new location. The old location was a massive limestone. It's now a courthouse, but the 2 lounging lions on either side of the staircase are still there. And I used to, I didn't play hooky from school. I would get it early out because I didn't need all my studies. And I would walk the 2 blocks from my high school to the old library. And I would go in there and I would find the research librarian, which was usually on the 2nd floor. And I'd tell her I'm looking for this newspaper. And her face would light up and she goes, "Here we go." And she put me in front of a microfilm reader and I'd be rolling through the films.
Oh, wow.
When they moved to the new library, excuse me, she was still there. I still remember her name, Beryl Simpson. I think she's passed away now. She was on the 3rd floor, the reference floor. And sure enough, I could walk in, and even in my late 20s, early 30s, she didn't recognize me too much because, I was lucky I could see over the counter when I was small. And I would just tell her, I says, "I'm looking for this, that, and the other thing." She says, "Oh, you remind me of this little character." I says, "Yeah, that's me." And she was a doll. I loved her. Through her, I met the Ontario Genealogical Society branch of Hamilton, and I got to meet the cemetery coordinator, John Quincy, and I think that's how you pronounce his name. And they would in the summer, every week, go out and they would. This was before taking pictures got popular. Transcribe all the stones in cemeteries.
Oh,
And I
wow.
tagged along one day. Oh boy, did I learn a lot. There was a handful of others as well, and the stories they gave me, and the ideas and the experiences they had, I kept that with me.
Oh, oh no, did we drop?
And
Here?
it was fun. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Oh, you're okay. Your video dropped out for a bit.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. So do you have a specific area of interest that you like to research?
Specifically, I'd like to learn the DAR records. Up in Canada, we don't, well, people that need to, they know where to look. For someone such as I that doesn't know what they're doing, we don't know what's available in those records. Don't know where to find them necessarily, unless you contact the national office. My specialty, I would believe, would be from, as I mentioned before, from my experience as a kid with newspapers and in cemeteries. I wrote a piece, oh gosh, back in 2012 about the changes in cemeteries socially, physically, the types of stones. Sometimes graves aren't even stone anymore. There's so many different ways. You can make a memorial out of a tree or a bench, or cremation. You can have their ashes scattered over the mountains or across the sea, wherever you like.
Yeah, some people put them in a tree, and or in a plant, grow them.
Yeah, you can grow a tree from them, or press them into jewelry. There's another one.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know what I've seen is they've put them in like a glass, like a glass paperweight, like it's a beautiful swirl. Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah, that's the latest one. There's some that they can put them in jewelry. They can compress it so tight, you could have the beautiful costume jewelry. So,
I would be nervous about them
those
like falling apart.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But no, that would probably be my specialty. But I can guarantee there are others out there that know far more than I.
Now, do you take on clients? Do you have take on?
I'd probably have to pay them. Never mind them pay me. I'm too easily distracted.
Oh.
When I was a kid going through the cemeteries with my gran, and even after she passed away, when I started going through the cemeteries, I learned more about my city's history by waltzing through these cemeteries, because the people are buried, of course, in segments of time frames. The influenza epidemic. Okay, you'll find there's a whole bunch of little wooden stones, wooden markers of crosses, only have a number on them, and just like, and the years, and it makes you wonder, like, what's this? And then when you walk into the cemetery office, they go, "Oh, those are the children from the general hospital that."
Oh my gosh, they were children
from when the children were stuck with influenza. In 1917, 1919, when the soldiers from World War I were coming home, and they were bringing it home. That's how influenza expanded.
Spanish, right?
Spanish, exactly. That's the other name for it. That's how it spread worldwide so quickly, because the soldiers, the survivors, the veterans of World War I, when they were going home, they were carrying it. So that's how it spread so quick.
Yeah.
And of course, the ones with the weakest immune system are the elderly and the infants. This one section was nothing but little crosses representing the children from the hospital that had passed away, excuse me, in a period of 1.5 years.
Wow.
Another segment was you could tell that they whoever these persons were well off, because the stones were upright and they were like 8 to 9 feet tall. The spires and the pylons, and so these were the politicians and the pillars of the community, if I can use those words. The namesakes. In the middle of all that was the gentleman that the city was named after, and
Mr. Hamilton himself.
Mm-hmm. strolling through the pathways, there was one cemetery stone. It was an American stone, and it kind of made me wonder. I thought that it was a joke or something. It was the 7th Cavalry. The 7th Cavalry belonged to General George. 7th Cavalry.
Huh?
That was the marker on it. I've got the picture somewhere. I'll have to share it with you. General George Armstrong Custer was the leader of the 7th Cavalry, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Okay. Everybody died at Bighorn, except for 2 individuals. The first individual was his mount, his horse, Comanche. He was wandering through the dead when the troops came in when reinforcements arrived. Comanche was the only one at sight that was still alive.
If horses could talk, if that horse could talk.
The horse. Now, there was one person who did survive that war, and that was the man that Custer sent off with the message to go get reinforcements. Now, if he ever delivered the message, I don't know. I have no idea. But this individual somehow ended up in Canada, in the shadow of Toronto, in Hamilton, buried in the cemetery that I was frequenting as a kid. How on earth they got there, I have no idea.
You learned a lot about society and history and how things changed over time, and just in your little town, just through the cemetery.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And there's 3 cemeteries within walking distance of each other. I could reach all 3 of them easily. Well, a little smaller, so was my stride. I could very easily get to all 3 cemeteries within an hour. And I would know more about what happened in that city, what the people were capable of, the persons that came through, how the financial, never mind social, how financially sound the community was by the paupers' graves, if they even bothered to give them a marker. Okay, if they buried them and they had a little circular disc, it looked like, I think it was limestone. It would have a letter. The letter would be the first letter of the last name, if they know it. So in your case, it would be a W.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would put a number following, and that number would be in their ledger. You are the W14. You are the 14th person with the last name, and they would have all your particulars. You're the 14th person with a W in your last name that they buried. And then so people say, "Oh, we won," and they couldn't identify the stone, your grave markers that way.
Yeah, it was a lot cheaper to do it that way than to have a whole stone made.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but these stones would be supplied by the cemetery.
The cemetery did.
They would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they would supply those. Now they supply this little metal stand with a cardboard card in it, or a paper card in it, and hope that it survives the winter and the rain.
Yeah, they don't last very long.
No. So how they can still identify that spot is beyond me after a couple of years. Like my mum's passed away in December. We're doing a memorial for her next month. I leave in a couple of weeks. Oh gosh, how long ago was it? 25 years BC squared. BC, before children, before computers.
Sure.
BC.
Sure.
Yeah, 25 years BC.
All right.
Mum purchased a stone for her mother. And Graham was buried, well, she died and was buried long before I came around.
Grandma Rabbit.
No, this is my mum's mum. Grandma Rabbit is my dad's mother, the French woman. Grandma Grace was English, English and Irish. She was buried in a very small church graveyard. Everybody knew everybody. The community, when I was there growing up, when I was, oh gosh, very small. I think there was maybe 200 people in that community. Everyone knew everyone.
Yeah.
Basically, okay. That community is oh gosh, that community now is, I think my video died.
Yeah, it did. We can hear you, but your video died.
Okay. Well, my phone's dying too, so that doesn't help.
Okay.
When she passed away, excuse me, she didn't have a stone for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So Mom was able to find her easy enough because, you know, she was in a very small cemetery, and that cemetery was lucky if it had 100 persons in it, if that. My father is buried in a cemetery back in Hamilton. It's huge. It's a Roman Catholic one. It's got about 3,000 to 4,000 persons in it.
Oh, wow.
There is no way we would find him if he was buried in a separate plot. The only reason I know where he is that he was buried with his mum and his dad, Grandma Rabbit and Papa John.
Got it.
So it's, you know, it's just the way some things are, you know. But if they marked my dad with this cardboard, my grandmother, I should say, Grandma Grace, with this cardboard sign, after 30 years, I'm sorry, I don't think we'd be able to find her.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. Yeah.
It's,
you know, but.
So, do you attend conventions? I know you don't speak at them, but do you attend it?
Yes.
What's the next one you're going to be at?
Well, I've been asked and told, since I am so close to Ottawa, to make an appearance in Ottawa for OGS. I don't know if I can with everything going on with my mum's memorial.
Sure.
I was just at one in Edmonton here last month for AGS, and I took a few of the speakers around on off time to check out the antique bookstores. I took a couple of them out for tea, Downton Abbey style.
Mm-hmm.
I hang out with them. I talk with them. I bend their ears and so on and so forth. But I go to them. I quite enjoy it. I went to many of them when I was younger, in Hamilton, Toronto, and Kingston for OGS many months ago. But I don't think anybody would remember this young fella that was always had his nose in a book.
Now, where can people find you on the web? I know that you're a Twitter hound. You love.
Twitter has my main blog on it, leprechaunrabbit.com. From that blog, you can find two more. I've got one on cemeteries. I've got one on genealogy. The third one is, it's just poetry that my wife liked that she told me to put back together. I'm on Facebook under my name. I'm in Snapchat, but I'm not that talkative or that photographic.
Not too snappy.
No. Let's see what else is there. There's Instagram. There's Pinterest. If you're that curious, type in Leprechaun Rabbit properly with all the vowels. Get rid of the space. Make it one word, and just Google that, and you should be able to find me just about anywhere.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. Kalé, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me.
Thank you for tolerating me, Eric.
Yeah, I had a blast. I really enjoyed listening and learning a little about. I really liked listening to your ancestor, the one that I forgot her name.
Mary.
Mary, yes. I really enjoyed hearing that story about Mary. It's very touching.
Yes.
But all right, so we're going to sign off. We've got another one coming up in a couple of weeks. I'll get the date down and figure that out. But I'm actually excited about it. I'm not going to tell you who it is yet. But
I think I know because I got your plans from about 2 months ago.
Yeah, don't ruin it.
Yeah, tell the old man I said hello.
All right.
I can get away with calling him that.
You tell him yourself.
I certainly will. I'll do that when we hang up. All right, sir.
Until next time, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Look for the event on Facebook, Twitter, and anywhere else. Instagram, too, I think.
Thank you. All right. I'll see you in a couple of days.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.